I am Daniel Cruz,
And this is Mick, the Doctor Edition.
and welcome to Sex 101. Sex 101 is created to empower, of course, your sex life and relationships. And today, another episode because another week. So, Mr. Mick, what will be our sizzling topic for today?
It's sizzling, I think. It's Hubba Hubba Ding Ding. Does Sydney Sweeney's body have everything? And so, to try to introduce Sydney's body, here's where I thought we might begin at the beginning, as Liz Plank on Substack introduced the topic of Sweeney's body and less sex, which might be a pause for reflection. At least I did, but I have to confess up front, I had to look up Sydney Sweeney and wonder why her body is of interest. For us
Oh, yes.
uninitiated, it's Sydney Sweeney was born in 1997 as an American actress. She first gained attention in 2018 for appearing in the television series Everything Sucks and The Handmaid's Tale, and in the limited series Sharp Objects. In the following year, she was featured in the Quentin Tarantino directed film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Sweeney gained wider recognition for her roles in the HBO series Euphoria and the first season of the anthology series The White Lotus, which earned her nominations for two Primetime Emmy Awards. In 2023, she portrayed reality winner in the drama film Reality and led the commercially successful romantic comedy Anyone But You. In conclusion, in 2024, she starred in the superhero film Madame Web and produced and starred in the horror film Immaculate.
Oh, let's give Miss Sweeney a sizzling applause. Thank you for your sizzling body. We are talking right now. So now for the uninitiated, what is Huba Huba Ding Ding? Mr.
So
Meg?
this is it's a phrase, hubba hubba ding ding. It's a
Mhm.
nostalgic nod to the classic 1950s and 60s era of American pop culture. This catchy phrase, often used to express excitement or approval, has been etched into the collective consciousness of generations past. Whether it's a nostalgic trip down memory lane or a playful wink to the past, hubba hubba ding ding is a phrase that evolves a sense of fun, playfulness, and carefree abandon. From the drive in movies to the sock hop dance floors, this phrase has been a staple of American entertainment, and its enduring popularity is a testament to the power of nostalgia and the timeless appeal of retro culture. So the next time you're feeling like a rebel without a cause or just need a dose of retro flair, remember to shout out hubba hubba ding ding. It's a phrase that's sure to bring a smile to your face and a spring to your step. The phrase hubba hubba ding ding rightly applies to historical figures of the time, such as Sophia Loren or Marilyn Monroe. Sophia Loren's curvaceous figure and sultry gaze made her a Hollywood icon of the 50s and 60s. Her voluptuous physique was often the subject of admiring gazes and wolf whistles, earning her the nickname the Earthly Paradise and cementing her status as a sex symbol of the era. Similarly, Marilyn Monroe's petite frame and hourglass figure made her a beloved pinup girl and sex symbol of the 1950s. Her iconic performances in films like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and Some Like It Hot showcase her comedic talents and captivated on screen presence, earned her a permanent place in the pantheon of Hollywood starlets. In a world saturated with visual media, the representation of women's bodies has become a topic of intense discussion. From advertisements to films, the female body is often subjected to the scrutiny of the male gaze, a concept that was first introduced by feminist film theorist Laura Mulvey in her 1975 essay, Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema. We can explore the implications of the male gaze on the perception of the female body, the impact on women's identities, and the ongoing struggle for agency and representation in a society that often objectifies women. In conclusion, both Lauren and Monroe's bodies were often the subject of public fascination and admiration, with their curves and beauty being celebrated and objectified by the media and the public alike.
Oh, the modern Marilyn Monroe. So how can we introduce the Sydney's body, Mr. Meg?
We should connect the phrase with Sweeney herself because this is based on something which happened. So here's what
Yes.
happened. So connect the phrase with Sweeney. Thousands of men on the internet decided that it was their concern whether Sydney, whom they collectively crowned as Hollywood's hottest, actually hot enough. Now that
Yes.
we got that explanation out of the way, what had occurred was that some creepy photographs of Sweeney lounging in her own pool at her own house were sold and plastered across the internet. Some men felt personally betrayed, not by the violation of her privacy, but the audacity of her body to exist without Photoshop. To them, her unfiltered poolside photos were proof that women had been catfishing men by failing to look like the AI generated versions they've seen on Reddit. Now, this has been a concern of mine and for many men for some time. That is, women exploited as objects and subjected to the male gaze. The creep in question here by his tweet got 34 million views. Aptly, there's a quote: "In the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes," and it's attributed to Andy Warhol, an American artist, director, and producer who was a leading figure in the American pop art movement of 1960s. Warhol made this statement in a 1968 interview with the magazine New York Magazine and has become one of his most famous and enduring quotes. And it really applies to a lot of people in our media saturated age. In any event, the commentators had a field day with these photos. One complained, "Too pale, and she needs to lose a few pounds around the middle." Another declared, "Nothing attractive about her." These criticisms were then regularly paired with side by side comparisons of her surveilled poolside photos and professionally lit, styled, and edited and red carpet shots. No wonder the bar is set so high that men will avoid women. Gentlemen, we know that a lady will wake up in full makeup, strutting their stuff with a wind machine blowing on their face. Little wonder men are avoidant if that's the bar that they set. I would say diplomatically that Sweeney is attractive enough for most men, and if Sydney is not hot, then men should just forget about sex. If men have an impossibly high stakes to hit, then there's little hope that the average man, perhaps no Ken doll himself, can hope to connect with real flesh and blood woman who lives a normal and casual existence in the world. In conclusion, the oppressive male gaze is damaging to both men and women.
Certainly. So, Mr. Mick, if sex is so free, why are not we enjoying it? Oh, that's
Well,
the big question.
yeah, it is. And a good one to ask. Excuse me. Since so many men have impossibly high expectations about women's looks, we can try to measure how sex is doing these days. It's not really funny if we want successful families and societies to note that we have an uncomfortable reality. In 2021, almost 17% of men aged 18 to 30 reported being virgins, a significant rise from previous generations. Nearly half of single men in this category also claim to be voluntarily single, but the reasons are varied. Researchers have identified that every age group, without exception, is having less and less sex. Excuse me. Scientific American reports human sexual activity affects cognitive function, health, happiness, and overall quality of life. And yes, there is the matter of reproduction. The huge range of benefits is one reason researchers have become alarmed as declines in sexual activity around the world, from Japan to Europe to Australia. A recent study evaluating what is happening in the US has added to the pile of evidence, showing declines from 2009 to 2018 in all forms of partnered sexual activity. The birth rate in the United States and the Western world has declined significantly over the past few decades. Here's some statistics. The general fertility rate in the United States has declined by 14% since 2007, from 65.3 births per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44 to 56.3 births per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44 in 2020. The total fertility rate in the United States has declined from 2.12 children per woman in 2007 to 1.73 children per woman in 2020. The number of births in the United States has declined by 12% since 2007, from 4.3 million births to 2007 to 3.8 million births in 2020. The total fertility rate in the European Union has declined from 1.7 children per woman to 1.4 child per woman in 2020. In the UK, declined from 1.8 to 1.7. In the Canada, declined from 1.5 to 1.4. In Australia, 1.7 to 1.6. It's worth noting that declines in birth rates are part of a broader trend of declining fertility rates in many countries around the world. Now, Liz, in her article, states some avoid the opposite sex entirely, preferring the curated perfection of online porn, where women conveniently lack muffin tops, flyaways, or the audacity to relax in natural, comfortable positions. Others steer clear of dating out of fear of offending, fear of rejection, or fear of unintentionally crossing a line. Not all men are creepy, but there's a certain and specific subset shaped by loneliness, incessant internet algorithms, and the manosphere's relentless grift. Platforms like TikTok and YouTube exploit their males' insecurities and offers cheap but empty gratification. Instead of fostering connection or understanding, much less enjoyable sex, these spaces turn frustration inward, then outward toward women. Criticizing Sydney Sweetie's bod isn't only about objectifying her, it's about fragile male rejection and helplessness. Most guys never met Sophia Loren or Marilyn Monroe either, but just fantasized about her. Men conclude that women are the enemy, and rather than embracing the joy or disappointment in chasing actual women, they are robbed of the lesson and vulnerability of real life. Instead of sex and love, they're left tweeting alone. For men, the takeaway is equally clear. Tearing women down doesn't make you powerful or confident, it just makes you lonelier. Real confidence comes from connection, not tired scripts about control or judgment. If the manosphere is selling you anger, maybe it's time to stop buying. Maybe it's time for all of us, women and men, to stop playing these pointless games and focus on being better to ourselves and each other. We're all human, and if you can't see the beauty in that, no amount of airbrush photos will ever be enough. In conclusion, rather than navigating the complexities of real life relationships and the possibility of sex that holds out for that, they simply, and people are just simply opting out altogether.
So, how can we understand the male gaze, Mr.
The,
Mike?
the male gaze refers to the women visual arts and literature depict women from the masculine perspective. This gaze not only objectifies women, reducing them to their physical appearance, but also reinforces traditional gender roles where women are often seen as passive objects of desire rather than active subjects with their own stories. An argument can be made that mainstream cinema predominantly presents women through the eyes of male characters, which shapes how audiences view and understand female identity. In film, women are often framed in ways that emphasize their physicality, while male characters are given depth, agency, and complexity. This discrepancy presents a skewed view of representing women that affects both how men and women view femininity. The male gaze is not just a cinematic technique, it reflects broader societal norms that dictate how women's bodies should be perceived and valued. Media representations play a crucial role in shaping societal attitudes towards women and their bodies. From hypersexualized images in advertising to the portrayal of women in film, the male gaze can have a profound effect on how women see themselves. For instance, the prevalence of unattainable beauty standards can lead to body dissatisfaction, low self-esteem, and a myriad of mental health issues among women. Stories of women who struggle with their body image due to media influences are common. Many women report feeling pressured to conform to specific beauty ideals, often feeling inadequate when they do not measure up. This can create a cycle of self-objectification where women begin to see themselves through the lens of how they think others perceive them, particularly men. The female body has often been a battleground for societal expectations and norms, Women's bodies are often scrutinized, judged, and objectified, leading to a complex relationship with their own physicality. So we talk about the male gaze. It contributes to this conflict and the ways in which women are reclaiming their bodies. Objectification occurs when a woman's body is viewed as an object for someone else's pleasure rather than as a whole person with thoughts and feelings. This can manifest in various ways, such as unsolicited comments about a woman's appearance or the way women are portrayed in media. In contrast, subjectivity emphasizes the individual experiences and identities of women, allowing them to express their own narratives. Women are sometimes pushing back against objectification by asserting their subjectivity. Through social media platforms, some women are sharing their stories, advocating for body positivity, and challenging traditional standards of beauty. This movement encourages women to embrace their bodies in all forms, promoting acceptance and self love rather than conformity to the male gaze. Social media has transformed the landscape of representation, providing a platform for women to share their stories and challenge the male gaze. And social media has become a double edged sword in the fight against objectification because there are enough women who are being objectified and others who are trying to express themselves more authentically. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok can allow women to showcase their bodies and express themselves in ways that were previously unavailable. The rise of influencers and content creators who embrace body positivity and diversity has created a new narrative around the female body. Women are now able to curate their own images and narratives, pushing back against traditional representations. So, some communities are celebrating all bodies, encouraging women to love themselves as they are. This movement not only empowers women, but also challenges the beauty standards perpetuated by the male gaze. However, social media also poses risks. The constant exposure to curated images can lead to unrealistic comparisons and reinforce harmful beauty standards. Despite the empowerment that comes from sharing personal stories, the male gaze can still infiltrate social media, objectifying women and reducing them to likes and shares. The challenge lies in finding a balance between empowerment and the potential objectification. In conclusion, women must navigate a complex digital landscape where the male gaze can still exert influence, even in spaces intended for liberation.
So, Mr. Mick, if the cultural gaze offends, is there a moral alternative?
Well, in the Bible, there's a rich tapestry of stories, teachings, and historical accounts woven together convey truths and profound truths about humanity, spirituality, and the relationship between the divine and the earthly. One of the most often overlooked yet intriguing aspects of the Bible is its treatment of the human body. From the creation narrative in Genesis to the resurrection of Jesus, the body is depicted as a vessel of life, a symbol of sin, and a means of redemption. The contemporary world might explore the significance of the body in biblical texts, examining how it shapes identity, reflects spiritual truths, and informs our understanding of the human experience. In a world where body image and self acceptance can often be overshadowed by societal pressures, the Bible offers a refreshing perspective that emphasizes the beauty of the human body. This ancient text not only celebrates the physical form, but also highlights the importance of personal connections and sexuality as integral parts of our existence. So, here we can explore the connection between viewing the body positively in the Bible and embrace personal relationships and sexual intimacy. The Bible presents a holistic view of the body, emphasizing that it's a creation of God. In Genesis 1:27 it states, "So God created mankind in his own image, in the image of God he created them, male and female he created them." This passage emphasizes the foundation for understanding the body as inherently good and valuable. The body is not merely a vessel, it's an expression of God's design and purpose. In the New Testament, the Apostle Paul further reinforces the sanctity of the body. In 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20, he writes, "Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies." This metaphor of the body as a temple serves as a powerful reminder of the dignity and respect that should accompany our physical existence. The Bible recognizes the importance of physicality in our daily lives. Jesus himself celebrated the body through his actions. He healed the sick, restored sight to the blind, and even raised the dead. These miracles were not spiritual acts alone, they highlighted the significance of physical well being. The body matters in biblical thought, and it's through our bodies that we experience the world around us. Human beings are inherently social creatures. Our connection with others are vital for our emotional and spiritual well being. The Bible underscores the value of relationships, urging us to love one another and to build community. In John 13:34-35, Jesus commands his followers to love one another as a reflection of his love for them. This love is not merely an abstract concept, it's manifested in tangible ways through our interactions with one another. The Bible encourages us to form deep connections, to share our lives, and to support each other. These relationships are vital for fostering a positive view of our bodies as they help us see ourselves through the eyes of others who care for us. Friendship is celebrated throughout the Bible. In Proverbs 27:17, it states, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Friends help us grow and see ourselves in a more positive light. When we surround ourselves with people who value us and our bodies, we're more likely to embrace our physical selves and appreciate the unique qualities that make us who we are. Sexuality is a natural part of being human, and the Bible addresses this aspect of our lives with both reverence and guidance. It acknowledges the beauty of sexual intimacy while also providing principles for healthy relationships. In the context of marriage, the Bible portrays sexual intimacy as a beautiful gift. In Genesis 2:24, it states, "That is why a man leaves his mother and father and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh." This union symbolizes a deep personal connection that goes beyond the physical. It's a joining of spirits, hearts, and bodies, illustrating the profound nature of marital intimacy. The Bible emphasizes mutual respect and love within sexual relationships. In Ephesians 5:25, husbands are instructed to love their wives as Christ loved the church. This call for sacrificial love sets the standard for how partners should treat one another. When both partners honor each other's bodies, it fosters an environment of trust and acceptance, allowing for a more positive view of themselves and their bodies. When individuals embrace a positive view of their bodies, it significantly impacts their relationships, especially in the context of intimacy. A healthy body image fosters confidence, openness, and vulnerability, which are essential for deep connections. A body positive image leads to greater confidence in oneself. When individuals appreciate their bodies, they are more likely to fully engage in relationships. This confidence creates an environment where both parties feel valued and respected, enhancing their emotional and physical connection. Embracing our bodies allows us to be more open and vulnerable with others. In intimate relationships, vulnerability is key to building trust and intimacy. When we accept ourselves, we can share our true selves with our partners, leading to deeper connections and a more filling sexual experience. Despite the biblical affirmation of the body, many individuals struggle with body image issues. Societal standards, media portrayals, and personal experiences can lead to negative self perception. It's essential to address these challenges in the context of faith. The media often promotes unrealistic body standards, leading individuals to feel inadequate. These pressures can create a disconnect between how we view ourselves and how God views us. The Bible calls on us to focus on our inner beauty and the qualities that truly matter rather than conforming to external expectations. Building a positive body image is a journey that requires intention and support. The Bible provides guidance on how to cultivate a healthy perspective on our bodies. One effective way to foster a positive body image is through gratitude. Regularly reflecting on the things we appreciate about our bodies can shift our focus from perceived flaws on the beauty and functionality of our physical selves. This practice aligns with 1 Corinthians 5:18, which encourages us to give thanks in all circumstances. Surrounding ourselves with a supportive community can also enhance our body image. Engaging in church groups, friendships, and supportive networks provides encouragements and an affirmation. These relationships remind us of our worth and help us combat negative thoughts about our bodies. The hope of resurrection is a central theme in Christian belief, and it brings the concept of body full circle. The resurrection of Jesus serves as a promise for all believers that physical death is not the end. In 1 Corinthians 15:20 through 22, Paul writes, "But Christ has indeed been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep." This promise reaffirmed the significance of the body, suggesting that it will be transformed, not discarded. The resurrection highlights the idea that the body is integral to our identity. Our experiences, relationships, and even our sufferings are all part of what makes us who we are. In conclusion, the resurrection is not just merely a spiritual event, but is much more. It's a physical one that celebrates the wholeness of human experience. The transformed body symbolizes the ultimate redemption and restoration of creation.
Definitely. So, Mr. Mick, how can we conclude a path forward?
The conversation surrounding the female body and the male gaze is ongoing and multifaceted. While significant strides have been made in challenging traditional representations and empowering women, the struggle is far from over. As society embraces a moral gaze, so too may our understanding of the female body. By recognizing and addressing the complexities of identity, we can work towards a future where women can be seen as subjects with agency rather than objects to be simply gazed upon. The Bible offers a profound perspective on the body, personal connection, and sexuality. It celebrates the body as a beautiful creation and emphasizes the importance of relationships. By embracing a positive view of our bodies, we can enhance our personal connections and experience the fullness of intimacy. Despite the challenges posed by societal pressures, faith can guide us towards self acceptance and appreciation. Ultimately, the biblical view of the body invites us to honor ourselves and one another, recognizing that we are all creations of God, deserving of love and respect.
Certainly. And another great episode on Sex 101, as Mr. Mick saying, the concept of the female body as a god temple reflects to the deep historical, cultural, and spiritual significance attributed to the feminine form. So, Mr. Mick, would you like to plug in something?
If you wouldn't mind, thank you so much. So, I'm the Idea to Author Coach on Facebook. If you want to write a book and sell more books, I can help. Now, of course, you can also listen to the Doctor of Digital podcast and listen and hear my books and buy them if you would like. They are both available on Amazon. That's On Track Ian Hunter and Burning America.
Yes, people, please do listen to our baby podcast, Mental Health 101, with Mr. Mick, the Doctor of Digital. Mental Health 101 is created to empower, of course, mental health awareness. So, Mr. Mick, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. Day is full.
More to come, people. See you soon. Another great episode, Mr. Meg, and I want to
I
share
hope
to
so.
yes, we are having a great, great episode. So let's do check our analytics. I want